Welcome everybody to season 5, episode 28 of Oz Media's MotivateMe313 Podcast. And I tell you what, today's episode is going to be a fun one. I could already feel it. I could already imagine it, vision it, and everything else. So looking forward to it. And let me tell you why by introducing the people who are in the building today. Starting off with little big bro Yusuf T, always on the ones and twos. We appreciate him in the back. To the right of me, we got the sister Abir. Abir is when Abir takes notes, be ready for the episode.
No, so
right?
listen. To be fair, I didn't know you guys beforehand. He didn't even give me any background. So I just was like, let me just make sure I'm prepared. But they're amazing. So just the 5 minutes that I've talked to you guys, took off the load. I just said that earlier.
Listen, I said sister Abir because she's my sister, but I'm talking about how she's preparing for the show like a sister for real. You know what I'm saying? So
I just don't. I don't want to say anything wrong. If it's, because my views could be different.
It's true. We got myself, Omar T, and then the guests in the building. First of all, whenever you're on the show more than 3 times, you're no longer a guest. So one of the color analysts for Oz Media, we got Jesse the Don Donoghue. Usually he's on the Fantasy Guys. That's where you probably have seen him before, making bold predictions that come true, by the way. Jesse the Don Donoghue, and he brought his girlfriend, Lindsay Smith, in the building today. So let's go ahead and give Lindsay a round of applause. For those at home, they heard the word girlfriend. They probably started like whatever college. You got to know that today's topic, what we're doing is 2 faiths, 1 truth, the keys to a healthy relationship. We are obviously Muslims, and I don't want to misrepresent you guys. Are you both the same? Are you guys Christian, Catholic? Like, which one is it?
So I grew up Lutheran.
Okay.
So born with Christianity.
I'm pseudo-Catholic.
Pseudo-Catholic.
I embrace the part that gives me all the good things, like where you can judge everybody else, but you're okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm moderately Christian. I'm a multi-faith kind of fella.
Yeah.
That's my home ground. I grew up Lutheran and Catholic.
Nice.
And I do want to add, we all have an education background, so
True.
Yes.
All teachers.
Yes.
Even me. I mean, I was a former teacher, so we got all teachers pretty much on this panel. And again, this is one of those topics where we're speaking from our experiences. We're not speaking like true professionals, okay? So if we give you advice, it's based off experiences. And so we don't have no background and marital, whatever you want to call it. So that's why we're here. Just having a conversation. You want to learn about how different faiths and how you were brought up, how you handle healthy relationships, okay? But before we do any of that, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under Oz Media. All those platforms on our website, ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of the show, Juicebox, Holy Bowly, Wing Fellas, Bates and Mocha, Chillbox, Manlika Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, GEE Preparatory Academy, and Royal Kebab. Let's start off with our great friends at Halal International Academy, the school that my sister and I used to work at, and then we're going to officially get the show on the road. Shout out to Hanley. Let's be honest. If you're looking for the place that has the best K-8 school for your child, then the choice should be easy, and that's Halal International Academy. Halal International Academy is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. The academics there are great. The athletics there are great. Thank you to the staff and administrators at Hanley for educating our leaders of tomorrow. To learn more about Hanley, you can visit their website at hanleyacademy.com or call them at 313-875-8888.
Middle school.
I loved high school. I love middle school though. Middle school, you have to be a little crazy.
yeah,
You have to.
you got to build
I mean,
relationships. That's the key.
Oh, big time.
If you don't have that, you
Everything.
can't get them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's okay though, and that's what we wanted to hear because we wanted to hear why do you have to be a little crazy to be a middle
I
schooler?
honestly, listen,
No,
I did the younger kids, and I used to always think they were crazy. Like whoever taught middle school is crazy. But I think the opportunity, like leadership, is easier because I do have that chance to build their relationships. When you're teaching content, it's a lot harder because it's like, especially if they're behind a little bit due to like, circumstances. But it's relationships for middle school.
I think
Big
anybody that's a preschool or kindergarten teacher is
Oh, they're
crazy.
saints.
Yeah.
They
Well, they are
angels.
saints,
They're
but
angels.
Yeah, like they have to be an angel to do that.
one-way ticket to heaven.
For real. Yeah.
Straight path.
I loved first.
Oh.
They're like little minions. They do anything that you tell them to do.
I'm not teaching anybody who isn't potty trained.
That is true.
I'm not. That's my line.
I agree. Lindsay, first and foremost, let's start off with you. Can we learn a little bit more about you,
Yeah.
who you are, how did you grow up, what are you currently doing, whatever you want to share with the
Okay.
audience.
Yep. So I grew up in Livonia, born and raised. I went to U of M Dearborn. I studied elementary and special education. I'm now a teacher. I have my master's in special ed administration, and I was a supervisor for a few years in Hazel Park. Loved that. I love my students. I have two boys, Wyatt and Everett. Wyatt is 11, and Everett's 9, and they're the best. They're the best. I
Boy
love them.
moms.
Yes. Boys are crazy, but they're amazing.
Yeah. But God knew. I
Yeah.
could only handle a boy.
Yeah. So if I had a girl running around like me,
Yeah.
we would be in for a doozy.
Jesse the Don, talk to us. I mean, this might be a different audience here, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself, man?
I'm gonna pick up off that because I have a boy and a girl,
Mm.
and one of my favorite lines is after I got divorced. I remember stating to the world that I would never have to answer to a woman ever again. That's where I was. It's like, I'm cool. I don't have to answer. And then my daughter would just like tapped on my shoulder and was like,
I'm here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. Raising boys and girls is different, but I love it. So I've got my son Xavier. He's going to graduate this year.
Nice.
My daughter Charlotte, she'll graduate next year. They are wonderful, beautiful people that at the end of the day, that's what makes me happy. I have good, honest children who can talk to other people and are caring. They're very empathetic. And then in the classroom, I did say off camera, I prefer high school, but I'm in middle school now, and I like the chaos of middle school. They're getting hair on their body. They're going through all this stuff. They don't know what they're doing. They don't. And like, there's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in being a part of watching. So I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's Spanish, just a 1-semester class. There is a Spanish 1 class for 8th graders, but I get to watch these kids come in maybe for 8th grade that I had in 6th grade, and they're different people. And I think that there's a real blessing and a power to be a part of that transition. If you think about all the, like, you know, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, different books, different movies, they take place during middle school because that's the part where you go from a child to a young adult. And I really enjoy it. I try to lean into that. I probably cuss at my kids too much, but you know, it is what it is. I love my students and my students love me. If you ask Lindsay, when I'm walking down the hall and I'm saying hi, I know them all. And it's I like to think of it as a blessing and a responsibility.
For sure.
Absolutely, because you're not just there to witness, you're there to mold too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is where the most, because you know when they're younger, you're playing with them. Then when you're older, you're just mentoring a little bit, but they have their, they already have their mindset kind of set. But middle school is where you can actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Interesting analogy right there, or an interesting breakdown of middle school, because that's definitely the way I used to see it too. Because I mean, I was a gym teacher, so I saw all of them,
Oh,
top to
yeah.
bottom.
And it
So
was a pre-K through 8th. building.
Really?
Yeah.
Pre-K.
not pre-K
8th grade.
though. Kindergarten's who I seen.
Okay.
Pre-K was in the building though, but they didn't have gym
Okay.
with the gym teacher. But yeah, so definitely middle school is interesting to say the least. So Abid, we'll start off with you. Again, today's topic, for those that may not know, it's all about two faced, one true, the keys to a healthy relationship. All right. Different perspectives. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that, you know, that all three of you have been divorced in the past, right? So just take that into consideration with their answers, and that all those experiences may be different in their own way. So I bid, first and foremost, what do you think what does a healthy relationship look like to Ibid Thavitz? And I can't wait to hear this, by the way, because we don't, you don't talk about this stuff on a normal basis,
with
right?
siblings,
Yeah.
especially, right?
Yeah.
And then what is healthy to him might not be healthy to me,
Right.
right? So I'm gonna kind of not go too heavy in the first question, or not go dive too so much with details. But for me, a healthy relationship is someone who really knows who they are. I feel like once you know who you are, and once you did the work for yourself, because we all come with traumas, right?
Yeah.
And then also when you grow up differently, it does create like a wedge into the relationship, because they can't see where you're coming from. So for me, a healthy relationship is two people who know who they are, two people who actually took the time to heal themselves, and two people who are willing to do the work, And I do want to bring in religion just a little bit. So in Islam, it's peace over confusion at the end of the day. There's 3 things that you're supposed to get out of a marriage, and people automatically think, oh, love. But it's kind of the opposite in Islam. You don't start off with love. You first start off with compatibility and honesty, and like you have to really just understand each other in the aspect of not thinking about love, because you can get clouded. Your judgment can get a little bit clouded when it comes to love. But when you get into a relationship, the 3 top reasons for getting married is for sakina, which I'm going to just give you guys a little bit of a definition for that, which is peace, calm, emotional safety. Mawadda, which is love in action. So it's not just love. You actually have to, do the work for it. Yeah. And then rahma, which is mercy, patience, and, grace. So these are the 3 things that you, for a healthy Islamic marriage, this is the definition of it, to have those 3 key concepts. And then they also continue to explain that we're clothing to one another. When you think about clothes, right? What does a piece of garment do for you? It protects you.
Makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good. Compliments you, right? All of those things. So they give that metaphor to when it comes to having a spouse, that having that person that is going to protect you, But at the same time, if you don't have, you're exposed, right?
Yeah.
And you're you're open to danger or whatever. So it's that you're clothing to one another. So, and marriage is a service. I really, really think that for healthy marriage, you go into it as, what can I do to help that person?
Yes.
And
service industry.
Yep.
Can I just say 2 things off of that? First of all, she said she was not going to dive too deep in it. I'm afraid what the other answers are going to be.
That was a really good, thorough answer.
It is. But the second thing is, she knows that we pull out 3 clips every week. And
Stop.
She always
and he never picks my nose. I'm just
and she be trying to take the clips for the week, Jesse. I apologize in advance. All right? You know what I'm saying?
Being 36, I'm 36.
Okay.
Getting married, not ready. I didn't know. I just got married, to be honest with you. I was right.
Was
yes.
it 18?
Yes.
So right out of high school.
I wasn't allowed to talk to boys in high school. So how am I supposed to even communicate with a man, right? And be married. You know what I'm saying? Got pregnant. Now I'm a mom. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot. So I did a lot of work, for myself. And so yeah.
She's an amazing person. I think that I joke around a lot, but the stuff that she's saying is what she actually stands by. She's not just fluffing it. So that's why I understand, and she
teases me a lot about it. So.
Yeah, it's fun, but at the same time, it's she's a great person, and so what she's saying is stuff that she actually stands by, which is why I love having her on the show, because she's not just not living it. She's putting it in action too.
I try.
So same question to the both of you. Whoever wants to start is, what does a healthy relationship look like to you guys?
So to piggyback off what she had mentioned, we come with a lot of trauma, especially after divorce. Divorce really, it's very eye-opening in so many ways. It's traumatic. It's sad. It is something that no one ever wants to experience or intends to experience, but yet it happens. And I chose to end my marriage for my mental health and for my boys' well-being. And again, it goes back to compatibility. The compatibility in the long term just was not there. And we started dating shortly after high school. I was 26 when I got married. He was 27. And you think a lot in your 20s, and the reality is you grow so much as a person, and you mature, and your views on things change. Your perspective on things change. And a lot of our core beliefs and values, they were just not aligned. And that's ultimately what led to the divorce. When you don't feel safe with someone, I think safety on many levels is so big. When your nervous system is shutting down because I was at the point where I couldn't even go into my house, coming home from work, stressful job, and I would just sit in my driveway, and my body was literally on fire. And I knew that my marriage had to end. I had to do something because I was not myself for many years. My parents saw it, my sister saw it. And then eventually, it took a long time, but then I saw it. And I I put in a lot of work to get to where I'm at now, to be able to accept love the way I know I am, worthy of. It was a challenge, but I feel like overall you have to feel safe. The person that you're with should be your absolute best friend. If you
Absolutely.
can't speak to them, if you can't tell them hard things, then that is questionable. So
I love that.
Just you want to feed off of that?
Yeah. Love is a lot of things to a lot of people. But for me, what I've learned as I've gotten older and as I've grown, your standards change. What you'll accept in your world are different. In my marriage, I am lucky she ended it, because if she didn't, I would have stayed and I would have been miserable until I died. I would have shown up. I would have went to work. I would have accepted those consequences. And they say what the great mass of men live quiet lives of desperation. And that was my life. And I was fortunate enough to be freed of that. And when I was freed of it, I took the time to get to know myself. I always think it's really important when I talk about Lindsay and I that, I had tried dating and different things, but with my therapist and I came up with this idea. We came up with this idea that I was never going to date again unless I admired the woman. If there was no admiration, then that's not something I needed to be with. So I was alone for a while until I met Lindsay. And she really, there might have been times when I didn't think that person existed. But I think that admiration is the key of our relationship for me, because I admire her. I look up to her. This is somebody I want to be like. This is someone who, when we're having a conversation, I just, you'll have disagreements, right? But you're never thinking, excuse my language, but like, that bitch, she's in it for herself or whatever. She's not. She's not.
Yeah.
Lindsay's an admirable person. She's driven by her core principles with her kids, with herself, with respect. And when you disagree, it's just easier when you look up to that person, because then you see their side and you care about their side. And so that's part of the duality of what is our relationship, is you'll get what you ask for. Put that in a clip. You get what the fuck you deserve. You do. What you accept is what you get. All those miserable people, and when we've been miserable, it's because we compromised our integrity for a daily comfort. We do. We compromise our integrity for some piece of something. I don't have to compromise anything to be with Lindsay, and I wouldn't compromise anything to be with her, and she wouldn't compromise anything to be with me. We'll talk about that later too, when we talk about like forgiveness and what it is to grow in a relationship. But when you set those standards high and you know who you are, I'm working a lot in therapy still, right? With believing that I deserve good things. It took me a long time. I'm still not there to think that I deserve anything. Life is hard and you get fucked over a lot. And that's kind of how I thought life worked. And as I've been able to be next to someone who stands with you, loves you, when you're just like, that's just how the world goes. And they're like, that's not fair. That's powerful. I don't know. I sometimes I think it's luck. Sometimes I think we earned it, and it's probably both, But when I came out of my divorce, I did not expect to ever get married again, do anything like that. I kind of figured I would live my life, and then I met someone who changed everything, and they helped me become a better person. So if you want to talk about the key, what is a healthy relationship? It's someone who sees you and knows you, every piece of you. They accept you, and that's good, bad, all those stupid labels we want to put on it. But the truth of the matter is, they want the best for you. They're not selfish. They're not there to take from you. They're only there to give. My love language is very much driven by acts of
Service. Yep.
acts of service.
Mine too.
If I can make her breakfast while her kids sleeping, that brings me joy. Brings her the rest she deserves. This woman works hard, takes care of 2 kids. She is my hero. She really is. She's someone I look up to that much. She's someone who, I admire. So I think it goes back to admiration. I'm getting a little too emotional for whatever, but
Who's
like,
cutting onions?
but it's
man?
true. It's true. When you find that person that you respect and they respect you, it's hard to put into words. And it's hard to, like, when you talk about giving people advice, I don't know. You just got to raise the bar.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to be alone. You have to say, that's not for me. And those are hard times. This isn't a show about how much Jesse drank when he got divorced and how he hated himself. But if we want to do a show on it, I could do fucking 5 hours on what it's like to be in an empty house when your kids are at somebody else's
so
house.
bad, though.
I mean, it is. It's the worst feeling. If you've ever been divorced, you know what it's like to be in a house without your kids, and there is no pain that even comes close to that. There's nothing like that.
Can I add something after that,
Yeah,
though?
so jump in. I'm
Two
rambling.
happy adults are better than two miserable adults for your kids.
Always, always and never. Always
So
and never.
people think that, oh, it's selfish for you to get divorced because you do
Yes.
that. No, you're actually helping your children
Yes.
see a healthy, you and in your healthy state.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
They don't
and they
deserve.
grow.
Absolutely.
They do. It's
It's hard in the beginning, but
no,
It
it's
is
hard.
No, because I was sleeping all the time. All I did was I went to work. I would come home. I would try to take care of the boys the best I could, and I would just sleep. I was so depressed and
you
so
couldn't show up
miserable.
for them.
I couldn't show up for them. Like my energy was depleted by my job, and then that was the beginning stages of my marriage kind of crumbling, right? And I was just like, I cannot do this. I cannot let their moms see me suffer so bad. You know, like, what message is that sending to them? And my ex-husband, he did not want the divorce. He is still angry about it today, and that's fine. That's fine. But something he'll never understand is that I had to do it for my well-being and for the boys, because I refuse to let the boys see their mother being treated anything differently than just perfection, really.
Absolutely.
You know, and with raising young boys in this world, it's hard. It's hard, and that was a lot of my determining, decision was I cannot carry on like this any longer. I just couldn't. So I would rather be alone and help, raise my kids on my own than be with a man that I knew was not right for me.
Yes. And then I want to add on to something, because you mentioned something as well, that you were willing to stay in that situation, that she set you free. Why are men more open to staying? I'm sorry, I know I'm tearing up, but it's common. It's like known that a man would stay in a relationship for the kids or for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not a man, but they're more likely to stay in a situation than actually initiating a divorce. Women are more likely to.
It's because we have no self-worth. We're taught from a young age that all we are is what we can provide for others. Men in this country, and hopefully we're breaking it, are taught from a very young age that all we are is what we can provide for someone else. And we hate it. We do. We are afraid to say it. We pocket it away, and we, quiet lives of desperation. And that's why. And you have to push past that. It's hard. I hope that my son never feels that he is measured by his accomplishments. I don't want to measure, the whole Ted Lasso. I hope we're all judged by our worst moment or our best moment. I hope my son never feels judged by a moment. I feel like I hope he's judged by the wonderful human being that he is throughout the course of time. But we are raised from a young age that it is a war. You have to earn. You have to succeed. And if you don't, you're a failure. And it's sad. It's consequence. We see it with our students. You'll see young men who are really pushed by what's an interesting, all right, I'm not gonna go too far off topic, but when you're teaching in middle school, you can see the kids who are really pushed hard towards educational excellence because of that. And it's hard as a teacher to know how terrible that is, boys and girls, that they're being pushed to an excellence that really doesn't define who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the best things that you probably do, I know she does, and that I do in my room, is let them find that peace and joy in their silliness and their happiness. And it's hard. It's ingrained from the time we're born. A man is defined by what he provides for others.
a quote came to my head with the students and being defined by the academics. You can't judge a fish how to climbing a tree, right? You know what I'm saying? So everybody's different. Everybody has different skills and attributes, and so.
I guess to
Alright, go
answer
ahead,
your
get
question,
into
I
it.
mean, as quickly as also we we don't believe in quitting. We're heavy on the non-quitting part. Like we don't want to quit, because I think men or women, we both obviously don't want to quit. But as a man, like Jesse was saying, I think we'll view it as a failure, that we failed the situation. So therefore, that's another reason why. So this question is gonna be two different ways, right? So it's be honest. Do most people in your community actually follow the rules when it comes to dating? When I say rules, it could be anything. So therefore, you guys can answer how you want, and then we're gonna talk about even jump into the halal part of that, and what should be happening or what shouldn't be happening. So do people follow the rules? Like, what are the rules, if there are any rules?
I don't know if there's rules. I just know like online dating, that's what most people jump into is the dating apps. And I feel like as a society that's caused everyone seems to want a pen pal. So many people that human communication, that interaction is just kind of fallen by the wayside in many ways. People are becoming so isolated.
Options are like
The options
crazy.
Yeah, so it's like that instant gratification, right? Like dating apps, provide a plethora, I guess, of nonsense. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of, but it's also there's a lot of weirdos in just daily life too, and it's hard to find somebody that's a true quality human being that matches you on all levels. Every checkbox, right? And that's hard. And I feel like so many people are just so used to kind of being alone. You see like the manly, what is it, the epidemic of male loneliness. And I think it's a real thing, but I think it goes to females too. People are just becoming more confident, happier being alone. And the dating apps, I think, have really driven that human isolation, the social interaction.
It's a great point. I don't know if you want to add on anything to that, Jesse. I'm a dish to Abid here with the wonderful word of dating, and it comes to Islam. It's definitely a no, but jump into even the halal dating part, and then you guys obviously can chime in to share your thoughts on it, and going from there. It's like you could put it into both answers.
So we're not allowed today, but come on, let's be real. Like we're older, we're adults. You're gonna meet people at work, you're gonna meet people outside, or whatever the case may be. So like my dream, but being in education is very difficult because there's not many male people that you encounter. But it would be a dream to see someone's character and see how they are before they have the interest in you. Because a lot of the times when somebody is interested in you, they will tell you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's already there. So can we date? No. But in our religion, you can get to know someone before getting married, but your parents would have to know. Your family would need to know.
I was going to ask, how does that work? So if you guys aren't allowed to date, then how do you get to know someone?
So the right way, well, there's a lot of different ways.
Okay.
It could be like a middleman. Someone knows someone that's really, amazing.
Trust
Oh, I think that trust the person. I think this person is good for you. Then that person would have to ask permission from the family and just like, hey, I want to get to know, your daughter for marriage. There has to be
is the outcome marriage?
Yes.
Is it out?
Yes.
That's the
all
outcome,
the time. Yeah.
all the time.
If the outcome is not marriage, if your intent is not for to get married, then it's technically wrong.
And,
Okay.
it will never happen. It will never get. Now
do you
the part is I'm talking about. It will never get to the family
Okay.
if your
intentions
not to get married.
Okay.
Yeah, it will just stop right there.
Yeah.
Even the middleman will be faulted for even trying to even think about it if the
Okay.
intent was not for marriage.
Oh.
But not saying that stuff doesn't happen though.
Right.
Like that's what I was going to try to lead to. Like other
Okay,
stuff.
Okay.
I want to break it down for you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we can actually
Yeah, this
communicate
is
with
interesting.
males,
Okay.
but we can't like date. That the word date was the word I have here, intentional marriage process. So it's like a process,
Wow.
basically. So our engagements are actually in a way we're not actually supposed to tell anybody about the engagement because that's the time for us to get to know each other with the blessings of our family. So it's less awkward to say, okay, this is not going to work out, you know? And there isn't like everyone doesn't already know, and you can like protect yourself and still continue to get to know other people. But you're protected because what? Your families both know about it. And at the same time, like you are talking in a way where like, okay, so, values, your roles, how do you handle conflict, your faith, like family. You could talk about these things and without the pressure of like everybody knows and we're already been together for this long. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a protection. But and then also with premarital counseling as well, it's big now. Before it really wasn't, but now because of the divorce rates and people are not, because we're not raised to like date. So when we do finally find someone that is interested in us, it's like we don't ask those serious questions early because you don't know them yet.
Right.
You're not at that level where you feel comfortable to that. So then you end up getting married and then real life happens and then you kind of end up in divorce. So basically there isn't dating, but we do have a time to get to know each other before marriage. It's actually permissible and you're supposed to. You're supposed to do your background and ask about the person and
what's the timeline like? Is there like a time frame, like a certain
So some people stay 2 years. Some people do 2 months. It depends on how you feel about that person. It depends on if that person's ready. It depends on if that person even knows and understands what goes into a marriage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times they are young and they don't know what they're signing up for because they just like each other and the family's trying to keep them from doing like, going that second, third, fourth base. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, let's just get them married. So it's very sticky, I guess, the situation, but at the same time the intent has to be for marriage. We're not allowed to date just to get to know someone. We the intent has to be for marriage and you have to be ready for marriage.
Give her a round of applause. I thought that was pretty solid.
I was like, I'm trying.
Quick breakdown.
And not everybody is perfect,
right?
Not everybody's perfect, and so there's a lot that goes under that. Just want to say that.
I have a question.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So how did your family take you getting divorced?
So I was the first one to get divorced. And at that time, my dad was very confused because he's like, he didn't hit you. You guys were arguing.
Yep.
Nothing's like, but we weren't together. Okay. And culturally, we're supposed to be patient. Woman is supposed to be patient. And then I was getting words thrown at me like, you're not patient, but he doesn't provide for me. And that is an Islamic ruling, Hold on,
we have the script.
He wasn't protecting me, and that's an Islamic ruling.
Yes.
He wasn't treating me with kindness.
Say his name.
And that is an Islamic ruling.
Call him out.
He didn't serve or help. He didn't live with me. We lived together for 4 months.
Yeah, that's wild.
He didn't ask about me. He didn't ask about his, our son. I have the right to divorce. You know what I'm saying? So, but at that time, my dad passed away and that's all he knew in culture and he didn't want me to be divorced, that's the last thing that he wanted was for his daughter to be divorced, right? And at that moment, and I was asking for it, and that's a whole nother thing, right? And it was just like, but he's not doing this. I'm like, yeah, but he's not here, and you can't force us to be together. So long story short, it was hard. It took 5 years. So it wasn't something that, I can just do overnight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wasn't ready to get married. I didn't do my part. I didn't do the work. I didn't find it. I didn't know my rights. I didn't know my worth. There was a lot. I'm the oldest daughter, I was a yes. I wanted everybody to
pleaser.
Yes.
Yeah. Oldest daughters have.
So, now I have different standards. I'll do my homework. I'll make sure that I know this person before they try to, you know what I'm saying? There's other things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. To answer that question.
Listen,
I'm very passionate about this. I need to calm down though.
I just want to say
I love it. You and I are going to start our own podcast, by the way.
Absolutely. I like this.
Yeah.
I think you guys would do great, by the way.
We would.
You guys, that was a lot.
I know.
That was just the first third.
You don't need the questions.
I hope you guys are enjoying this show. We are gonna run our next ad of today, Yusuf, and we're gonna go ahead and give a shout out to Wing Fellas because I don't know why all this talk is making me hungry for some reason right now. I don't know if I'm just hungry in general. Shout out to Wing Fellas, and we'll keep things rolling. Do you know what goes perfect with the big game or your favorite TV show? Some deliciously tender wings from Wing Fellas. Wing Fellas restaurant is home to the best wings in Michigan. With over 20 different sauces and seasonings to choose from, you can make sure every wing order you make caters to your taste buds. They have 7 different locations in Michigan. They have a location in Dearborn, Southfield, Detroit, Belleville, Wyandotte, Flint, and Taylor. So no matter where you are at in the state, Wingfellas is your one-stop shop for some fall-off-the-bone wings. Also, be sure to visit them at their website at thewingfellas.com.
I do want to add.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I do want to add that my dad was proud of me afterwards and didn't care for me to get, remarried again. He actually told me like, you're better off doing you, and he was very proud of me. But my mom, on the other hand, like, she believes a woman should be married. Like, she bothers me till this day about not being married. She's like, get to know people, do it. Like, and then mind you, before I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody, and now she's like, you should start, seeing where this goes. And I'm just like, relax, Mom.
So can you talk, like, this might sound weird, but can you talk to like multiple men then? Like,
I wouldn't,
no.
Personally, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I would want to definitely have a middleman to protect myself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, like, men would use girls, and would keep you a secret. And, being divorced, you want to protect yourself. Yeah. And, men are dogs, no offense. Some men. And I don't want to put myself in that position. So I would want them to get permission from my brothers, at least have someone that I know, so they're not going to just use me for a moment and then disappear. You know what I mean? Because women, we do get emotionally attached, and we do have a lot. Like, when you share with someone and you open up to someone, it takes a piece of you, and you don't want to continuously do that. So it's a protection. Okay. No. So.
Great questions, great conversations, and this one right here is going to be all educational purpose right here, because I know sometimes people wonder it, and I'm happy that we are addressing it. Interfaith relationships. Can a Muslim marry a Christian? Can a Christian marry a Muslim? What does your faith say, and what do you personally believe? If you guys are okay with starting, Jesse, you're laughing. Can we start with you on this one?
That's it's so hard. This question, we were like going back and forth with this, and it's hard.
I'll say what I told my boy Omar last night. Religion, I don't remember how I said it, but let's say Lindsay was Islamic and whatever. Allah Akbar, man. Let me in the door. Like, I don't really...
because you love her.
Shit. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, it is what it is. It is not a... Hey, bro. I'm just being honest.
So basically, like, does your religion say anything about interfaith relationships? Like, what does it say anything?
I mean, they're Catholic, so they don't like anyone. But I mean, yeah. I mean, technically, you're not supposed to, or you're supposed to be converting them. I mean, we have a history of converting people. It's die or join. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be part of a religion that has such a horrible history, especially the Catholic faith, which I will say I'm still Catholic. I like the Pope. I listen to the Pope, but like, you gotta let people find their way to God on their own. You can't make anybody believe anything. And how, the old metaphor of like the elephant, you're touching the trunk, you're touching the foot, you're touching the tail. God's God. You know what I mean? We are what we are on this planet, and however we get to it. And when you really get into the interfaith, especially if you go Judeo-Christian, Muslim, it's a straight line through history. You know what I mean? It's not like they're detached from one another. I think it'd probably be different if someone was Hindu or Buddhist or, whatever else. That would be something different. But even then, like, it's just trying to find your peace in the world. I don't think religion's the most important part of a relationship, for what that's worth.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I agree. And I think like the cultural differences, whether you're Black, Indian, Asian, it's about acceptance, and if you love the person, then hopefully your family will love the person too. And again, like generational, if I were to bring home a Black guy, I don't know if my grandparents would have been super fond of that, right? Like, but you see so many mixed, like, interracial relationships now, and it's becoming more of the norm, and I think that's awesome. Like, love should not be defined by a color or by a religion, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
so religiously, a Muslim man can marry someone from the book, so a Jew or a Catholic or Christian. But for a woman, she can't, only because like the men are the leaders or the shepherds of the household, and they'll convert eventually convert the female. And the reason for marriage too is to make your religion stronger. So like that's like, so you know, religiously, and because of raising kids, you know, and keeping them in with the faith. So there isn't that argument, and then family values and lifestyles. But however, like in the Quran, it says that we are made to meet people from other nations and get to know other people. So interracial is actually promoted, but interfaith, like I said, a man can, but a woman cannot.
So interracial is promoted,
Yeah.
but interfaith
Yeah.
is not.
Only a man can.
A man can,
Yeah.
but a woman can't.
Yeah. And it's
Great
due
breakdown
to-
of that. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's due to be able to convert. So that plays a huge part.
Interesting.
You know what else is interesting? The roles in marriages, roles in relationships. Actually, not just marriages. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go. Roles, women and
You know,
men.
Roles. Okay. I have a hard time. You know, Jesse would always make fun. He not make fun, but like say, you know, you were never cut to be a 1950s housewife, and no, I wasn't, and I'm not. Like I feel that men can do the dishes, women can cook, and vice versa, right? There's so much pressure put on these gender roles in a marriage, and I think that's honestly some of what destroys a marriage. You know, when a man is said just to be the provider, the woman the homemaker, the one that cooks, cleans, blah blah blah. No. This is 2026. Like, it can be divided. And I feel it should be divided. I love mowing the lawn, right? Do most men mow the lawn? Yeah. You know, but I love to mow the lawn. I love to pull my weeds. Jesse loves to do the dishes. Jesse loves to cook. I think there's a balance, and I feel like the roles, like the traditional roles, I think those are becoming more obsolete, and women and men are coming together and they're kind of splitting it down the middle more so. I like to think.
Let me build off that. Can I build off that?
Yeah, go.
When we get married, and we will get married, 'cause I love you more than anything.
Mm.
You ever heard like the rule of 100%? There'll be days where I'm at 20 and Lindsay will bring 80. And there'll be
Yeah.
days where I'm at 80 and Lindsay's at 20. And there'll be some days where we're both at 35 and we got to figure out the other 30. I think when you talk about gender roles,
It's only 65%.
It's okay.
I said,
Maybe,
so what?
yeah.
Sometimes you're missing.
Yeah, I
We
don't
are
know.
all,
I know.
we've all got empty spaces.
Yep.
We've all, you know, I think it's a service industry. I think it's about serving your partner. And when you're with the kind
Yeah,
of
picking
person
up
who
things.
serves you, you know, you're going to fall into certain things. I like to cook. So when we're together, I tend to cook. I like to do dishes. I'm also a little bit of a tyrant in the kitchen. So we're working. We made a meatloaf together. That
Yeah,
was nice.
I made it. I don't cook. I don't
Yeah.
cook. My mom and my sister both
Me too.
love cooking.
I know you're looking at me. Me
See,
too.
and
I don't like it.
I'm telling you, a meatloaf though,
was
it's
forced
so
to do it.
It's so satisfying. You make the meatloaf, you put everything in the bowl, and you just put those gloves on. You mix it all up, and it was so
It's
therapeutic.
fun when both people are doing it. You're
Yes.
not the only one doing
That's
it.
the key right there, is to make it fun, because
Yeah.
when cooking, you think of cooking, I just think of like trying to follow a recipe with Fran. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell this is. Like,
And then listen, like growing up, there was no recipes. It was like this and that.
yeah, they
and
just sprinkle it in
yeah.
and then
Like,
just
what do you
make a
mean?
fancy
Yeah.
dish. Okay, mom.
Yeah.
Well, I can't
Yeah.
do that. So
If you want to find roles, go back to. I think the meatloaf thing was a huge thing for us. I
It
think,
was. And peeling
Yeah.
the potatoes.
yeah, and I taught her how to peel a potato, and you wouldn't.
That's cute.
It was
And he didn't make fun of
startling
me.
to me. She just said he didn't make fun of me. How fucked up is that?
Right.
Like, seriously, she
It-
was in a place where someone would have made fun of her for not knowing how to do something she didn't know how to do. And I think we've all been there. That does not exist in this relationship. So when you talk about roles, there's no shame in not knowing something. There's no it's only support. I think that's
Mhm.
I think that's actually a really good example of how we will approach those types of things. We will take turns. We'll do, like, you know, Lindsay likes to mow. I don't really like to mow, so that's gonna work out pretty well. But
Yeah.
there'll be other things, you know, where you work together. At the end of the day, your household is a job, and there are specific roles in it, and they all have to be done. And how you divide them, I don't think for us it'll be a fluent conversation of just who does this.
It's
or
not
does
a
that.
cookie cutter
Yeah,
type
I
fit,
think
right? You
that
have to.
it's-
It's a kind of an experiment, like
Yeah.
experimental. You
Who's
know what?
available at that
Right.
time and who has that much. Lindsay works with special ed population.
Mm.
When she's done at the end of her day, she's done. This woman works harder than anybody I know.
Mentally.
Absolutely.
She is pouring her heart and soul into these kids all day. And I respect and love that, right? And my job's not easy either, but I found at the end of the day, I might remember doing homework with Ev, right? Like, so
Oh,
her,
yeah.
her,
That was
okay.
adorable.
Lindsay's a very good mother and she's very insistent and they do their homework, whatever. But there was a day where it wasn't working as well, and I just stepped in and did it, and it wasn't like we had a conversation.
Everett was real pissed at me. He was frustrated. He's like, "Mom, just shut up."
Yeah.
And
He was stressed.
And then
It
Jesse
was hard.
sat down at the kitchen table, and Jesse sat with Everett and like calmly like explained to him, you know, like with your own kids, like sometimes your tone of voice and like you get a little bit fired up and you don't mean to get
Absolutely.
frustrated, right? But and my boys don't fully understand the extent of how much I pour into my job. I pour into to other kids, my other students, right?
Mhm.
And Jesse was able just to kind of swoop in and sit down, and the way he explained it to Everett and the way Everett responded to him was just, it was amazing.
Sometimes they need to hear from someone else.
Yes.
Honestly,
Yeah,
and other
it's
than
a
Yes,
parent.
big
handoff.
time.
You
Big
take
time.
your
Yeah.
turns. and
Yep.
I think that's it. When it comes down to roles, there is no, you want to win, stop drawing lines. If you want to win, if you want to be with someone and you want to stay together, every time you make a rule, I don't think
Yeah.
we have too many rules.
I don't like
Every time you
rules.
make a rule, then you draw a line
Uh-huh.
and then you can create an awkward situation later. That's how I feel.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you like just Islamic wise kind of what it is. And it's not roles, it's more responsibilities and rights.
Okay.
So it's not roles. And then obviously there's a lot of gray area. So like for the man, it is his role, or it is his responsibility to provide, protect, lead with accountability, and then treat his wife with kindness and serve and help. Like those are his responsibilities. For the woman, her responsibilities are to have a home where there's nurture, to raise the children for the most part, and to protect the trust of the household. So you know, and to be obedient to her husband. Now, I know you're probably like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot there. Oh.
The cooking, the cleaning,
Mhm.
all of that is not technically on her. Like that's her job technically. It's a team because everything else is like balance. So the best of men are the ones that are the best to their wives. So when you have that idea and you know that as a man that you're not going to be obedient in a way where you're control, you know what I'm saying, or you know, treat her in a way where she doesn't feel respected or loved or cared for or whatever. So it's like that balance is created to make sure that there isn't no blurred lines. Now, a woman can work and help her husband. A woman can. Every family has their own choice of how they want to divide whatever they want to divide. But at the end of the day, like a worst case scenario, that this is written for them to know, like as a guide. You know what I mean? Nowadays, 2-income households are needed. You know, if you love someone and you care about them, you're gonna do everything that you can. I remember we went on this cruise, and it was like 22 of us family, right? And you know, you had my uncle and his wife, my brother and his wife at the, you know, and then my cousin and her husband. We're all talking, and I was like, you know what, let's do who knows who better or whatever, you know. So I had the guys go and act, you know, it was cute and it was fun. And then we got to the point where we talked about percentages, and we broke it down to categories. Like when it comes to the kids, for real, how much percent do you think you do, and how much, you know? And at that moment, they all realized, wow, I guess you are pouring more into the relationship than I am. So you do have to understand that there's different parts to a marriage. It's not just, you know, working. You know, you can't say, oh, I work and I pay the bills, so that's all I'm gonna do. You know, and that's why I feel like our culture, the men in our culture have a very hard time understanding that, dude, they have to help at home too, you know? Or if a woman is working, well, but no, but you still have to make sure everything in the house is done correctly. And that's not the case. There's a balance, you know? If you're both working, then you both need to be helping in the house, you know? If you both, they're both your kids. you don't beg your husband to babysit for you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I'm
Can
being
you watch
real.
the kids?
Yeah.
That's a huge
You know,
thing. Can you watch the kids?
You're not baby. Those
Oh,
are your
yeah.
kids too.
The whole time Abira's talking, she's throwing jabs at a lot of men. That a lot
No,
of Muslim men.
this is something that
I was
are
like,
in our culture. It's not.
I'm
Yeah.
It's
sure
not
they
religion.
deserve it.
Yeah.
It's not religion. It's our culture. You know what I'm saying? So and these are things that need to be addressed, and we have to really sit down and look at our partner and think, how much are they? Not look at their cup and how much they have. How much can I pour into their cup? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So when they did actually sit and they were like, dang, I do a lot. You know, I'm not just a you know, some of the relationship the woman was working, some of them weren't. She's like, I'm not just a stay-at-home mom. I do help with this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? So you know, appreciating each other, appreciating what you could do for one another, and really sitting down and thinking like, what am I giving into this relationship? Not what am I getting? What am I giving?
Love that. Love that. Great way to answer that question too. And all of you are having great conversations, and I'm very appreciative for having you guys on this episode because this is what it's all about. I know that we're going to learn a lot about each other, just like divorce, which is the next question. You know, what is it? You know, for those that,
Oh.
you know, how do you see it? How does your religion see it? Is it a sin? Is it a last resort? Or sometimes is it the healthiest decision possible? Where do you stand? Maybe what you were taught stands, you know, just anything you want to answer this. I've been looking.
I'm gonna start. Yeah, I'm gonna start with it. Divorce is not a sin. It's a last resort. They do want you like to obviously, you know, try your best and do everything X, Y, and Z to make sure it works. But you know, God does not want you to be in a toxic relationship. God does not want you to struggle through life with someone that you don't see yourself with. You know, we were human, you know what I'm saying? We have feelings, we have emotions. Especially when it comes to the person that you are choosing to stay for the rest of your life with, you need to make sure that you can stand that person. You know what I mean? So divorce is there. Divorce is there for you to get out of a situation that you cannot live in. And I really want to reiterate this earlier when I was saying about being patient. Don't be that person that says, oh, that person wasn't patient, because you don't know how much that person can tolerate. You don't know how much that person went through. You know, there's his story, her story, and then the real story. You know what I'm saying? So kind of mind your own business. No one's going to get divorced out of nowhere. Be there for that person in whatever choice that they make. And also don't judge someone for staying, because sometimes we're like, can't believe she stayed. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what that person is going like.
Yes.
There's a stigma behind both.
Yeah, you know?
Behind divorce, and people are judgmental about staying, and it's until you are living and walking in their shoes, they have no room to be speaking about it.
Absolutely. So divorce is there as an option. You can get out, you can stay, it's your choice. You know who you are, you know what you could tolerate, you know what's best for you and your family and your circumstance.
I love that. What's your thoughts on divorce, Jesse? Lindsay?
Divorce.
Do it. No, I'm joking.
I mean,
Divorce
yeah,
is
do it.
Divorce is catastrophic. It's got a whole lot of collateral damage, and it's a very hard thing for anybody to go through. Religiously speaking, it is acceptable. It's part of it. They do want you to work through it. You'll get side eyes. You mentioned something earlier that kind of resonated with me, of the whole, like, he doesn't hit you. He doesn't. He provides whatever. And that might have been the way my religion was for a long time, but it's really developed into, you know, we have emotional needs, you know, we have social needs, we have a lot. We're not just physical. And as we've developed through time, we've learned what emotional abuse is and what derogatory language is. Harder than any punch. A scar will heal. You know, you can get punched in the face and you grow. But if somebody runs you down for years upon years, the impact it can have on people, man and woman, you know, whatever. But like, it's something that I think people understand a lot more. And I think that's something that persisted within the closed, behind the doors of marriage. My mother got divorced from my stepfather, and it was what it was, and nobody fully understood. But I remember one time I went to court with my mother, and I never heard my stepdad say anything to her. Never, ever. Like, I didn't know. I did not know. She came around a corner, and my stepfather was there, and he didn't know I was there. And the things he said to her were ungodly. I came around the corner and I was like, you're going to shut the fuck up and sit down. And you know what he did? He shut the fuck up and sat down.
How old were
But
you?
until I was probably 23,
Okay, so you're a man.
I was, but I didn't know. And I think that's where it gets into, you don't really know what the conversations are behind closed doors. So I think that I think we're learning as a populace what it looks like. We're learning, we have words like golden retriever. We have different things for how we describe the people with, and we're starting to understand better. And I think that the sad fact is most of us are children of divorce. And a lot of us went into this not wanting to get divorced because our parents got divorced. And I have a lot of hope and faith for the coming generations because they're around. You know, a woman couldn't get a credit card in the 70s. A woman couldn't buy a property. That's our lives. I was born in 78. You know what I mean? Like, we have come so far to what divorce means. You look back, why did your grandma stay with your grandpa? Because she would have fucking starved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that was
Even with
so I was gonna mention like the generational thing, like my mom and my dad are still happily married, 40 plus years. And so like when I got divorced, I was ashamed at first. Like there was an immense amount of guilt. Like, I'm getting divorced and what is this going to do? But then, it becomes like, you have to stop thinking about everyone else, even your parents, right? Like because like my parents have provided so much for me and growing up and a great life. And I felt like I'm letting them down. But after everything was all said and done, my mom and my dad were like, you should have divorced him a long time ago. And they were proud of me ultimately because they lost their daughter for a while. I was not Lindsay. Like, I lost my shine, my sparkle, all of it because I was so depressed. And I think like generationally, like I think my grandma was somewhat miserable. My grandpa provided monetarily, with money, vacations, a home. But the way I think she was treated was not the best, but she couldn't get out. And I remember like my grandma in hospice and my mom saying to my grandma, Mom, like, if you have something to say to Neil, to my grandpa, say it now before you regret it, because my grandma had a lot of anger, I feel like. Yeah. And that's sad because women have come a long ways, but divorce in many cultures, households, it is definitely frowned upon. No one wants it, but in the long run, it's going to make everyone hopefully a lot more happier and healthier.
And then like when you look back, just culture wise, a lot of the women back in the day, they came to America, they don't even have family here, they don't know the language, so they tolerated and stayed and accepted a lot. So when, like, for me, when I decided to get divorced, like, what are you doing? This is what we do. We just tolerate. We are patient. We just take everything in. We're not allowed to just say that, no, this is not working, I want out, So it is like, it's now, like, back in the day, they really, 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 really depended on their husband for everything, for a livelihood. And then now that we actually can make our own money, it's like the men have to step up, and they have to step up now. And they're just like, wait, now I gotta be funny and also do this.
The expectations are high.
Oh man,
I want to address something on that. So there's in the culture, so they said coming out of COVID, COVID led to a lot of divorces, a lot of people to be there
because you got to really live with each other.
But 80%, this is a number I've heard, were led by women, right? So men sometimes when they're alone will have an intuition to blame women. And I want to address this crystal clear for everybody out there. That's bullshit. No woman has ever left a man who took care of her. No woman has ever left a man who listened to her. No woman has ever left a man who provided a safe space, who valued her safe space and treated her the way she did. And I think that that's something that I can say in small groups, but here's a good place to put that out. Stop crying. You got divorced for a reason.
Absolutely.
Even me, my ex left me for a reason. I was not valuable to her. I did not provide safety. I did not provide comfort. And that's a hard mirror to look in. But you got to look in that mirror and you got to make peace with that. So if 80% of the divorces, 4 out of 5, are being led by women, then men are the ones who need to ask, what am I providing?
Absolutely.
And I will yield a little to, we are told from a young age, like I said earlier, that we are what we can provide. Those days are over. It's not about provision. Women can provide for themselves. It's about meeting someone who you care about, who cares about you, who brings you peace by peace. We have this thing we say that we've said from a long time ago, PACE and PIECE, and they both mean exactly what you mean, and you've got to get your peace, and you've got to get your peace. And if those are provided for, you'll be in a happy relationship. But that is a driving thing. That
I love that.
Can you give a round of applause?
That better be a clip. That
Remember the
no
time.
woman ever left a man. That's a beautiful clip.
Remember the time I was saying.
It's the
Remember
truth.
the time.
It's the truth.
Easier on
Listen,
yourself.
I'm not gonna lie to you
Women
guys.
shut down emotionally way before men even realize it. Men,
Absolutely.
they have no idea.
And like sometimes I look back and I'm like, if my ex was a good father to my son, and I seen that, it probably would have made me like respect him, and like maybe I would have tried. But the fact that it was not, I was just like, this is a 100% case to just dip. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want people to think that I'm pro divorce, but I'm not pro being treated that way. So.
Believe it or not, we're about to move into the last third. So this is our final ad of today. I know you guys are enjoying this episode.
Beautiful
Hopefully you are.
conversation. I love it.
Holy Bowly. Holy Bowly is the final one. Shout out to Holy Bowly.
Bathroom.
Holy moly.
Bathroom?
You have to try out Holy Bowly. Holy Bowly is your go-to destination for vibrant bowls and delicious sandwiches. Everything they serve is 100% fresh, and they have halal options as well. Their mouth-watering bowls are always packed to the top, so you know you're getting the most bang for your buck. They currently have 2 locations in Detroit, and you can check out all their food on their website at www.myholybowly.com. So my next question, shout out to Holy Bowly, is what are some non-negotiables in a marriage/relationship?
Okay, so I'm not in a marriage, so I wrote down my non-negotiables for like my future husband. So, and then we kind of started, and they were kind of laughing at me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just start. So my standards changed. I'm not who I was when I was younger. I have a son, so that's like they have to understand that that's my priority, and accept it, and not just tolerate that. I also built my life. I have a house. I have a career. So this person needs to understand that they're joining into my life. They're not going to try to like change everything that I have already kind of built, and that they're able to trust me, and I think that's huge for me. Being in the career, and then hopefully going into administration, like I'll have to deal with, a lot of men as well, and just to be able to trust me. So here towards the man, he needs to be a leader. I have to be able to look up to him. You kept saying admire. Like, I need to admire the person that I'm with. I really do. And leading through action, not just words. That's huge on me. You can tell me that I'm beautiful and that I'm nice and say all that, but that doesn't do anything for me. Like, you gotta do stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're a team. Understanding the rights and the responsibilities when it comes to religiously, like I'm big on that as well. But I don't want him to only fear God. I want him to love God. I think there's a people get that confused. Character, you got to be kind. You have to be easygoing. I know earlier you were saying, how not everything's a big deal, and everything's like. Remember earlier you were saying, yeah, easygoing people are going to be able to live for a long time. Like, you have to understand, like, at the end of the day, we got to work through stuff. You can't be too prideful in that sense. Respectful, funny, honest, emotionally intelligent, self-aware, accountability, gives and receives feedback well. Like, I want someone to tell me, hey, you can work on this, and I'll take it, at the same time, be able to, give it back without being so defensive. Having a great mindset and being ambitious, goal driven. We're teachers, so we want someone who is willing to always learn and grow. And this is like big for me, and I just realized that about myself. I have to be with a man who's respected. Like, there's nothing, more admirable about a man that I know the community respects, people respect, and that they have this aura, when they are very respected by others because they respect people, So, yeah, those are my kind of non-negotiables.
What were some of your non-negotiables after being divorced and trying to find the next person that you were going to spend hopefully the rest of your life with?
Yeah, so words are just like empty if they're not meant by action. And I
Absolutely.
said that from day one because so much of my marriage, he's a great father, just he wasn't a good husband to me, right? And a lot of that was due to these words that were being said over and over. It was a pattern of just toxic behavior. And it got to the point where I'm like, if they're not being followed up by any type of proactive actions, then we're not doing it. We're just not. And so I have always led by that. Jesse and I feel like Jesse has a very warm presence. People respond well to him. And I think who you're with is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. There's been many podcasts about that. And who you are with, is it a compliment about yourself or is it a non-compliment? You want to be with someone who's a compliment. Absolutely. Because that is a direct reflection of how you view yourself and what you tolerate and what you won't tolerate. In regards to like another non-negotiable with my boys, he'll be a stepdad. He's taking on, that's a huge role. So the kids piece, they come first. We know this, and he's going to be an amazing stepdad, and I love that for him and for me. So just a good partner. You want to find somebody that matches your energy. It's really about matching energy on all levels.
The Dawn.
I was trying to think through there, like, what are the non-negotiables? And one thing that stands out to me is I needed someone, and I didn't know this. It wouldn't have been in my notebook. It wouldn't have been in my plans. But I need someone who's going to hold me accountable. What I really like about our relationship is there's expectations, and they will be met. And it's not like it's, oh, if you don't do this, like they're not met with toxic behaviors. I guess it's that. It's got to come back to positive behaviors. If I make a mistake or if it's hard to quantify.
We want to better each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they got to better you and they got to hold you
take
to a standard. Yeah. I don't want.
Check your ego at the door. Be able to tolerate hearing the feedback.
And I don't want a woman who's going to just accept whatever because you get what you ask for. I like being with someone who demands attention, respect, their own time too. I think it's important that when Lindsay needs her own time, I don't need to be there. I don't have to feel bad about that. You want someone who's growing. It's just hard to say. I guess it's hard to quantify what non-negotiables are. I would say when I started dating, it had to be someone who accepted my kids are more important. At the end of the day, if the house is on fire, I save them, not you. It just is. That's just how it is. Yeah. And I'd say we're at a point now, if her house was on fire and I had to pick her kids or her, I'd pick her kids because that would be her choice.
Yeah.
Like and
she would respect that.
Yeah. And accountability. I think it's just accountability and the ability to have conversation, the ability to forgive. And there's something about praise that I didn't even know I deserved or felt or could even have before I met Lindsay. There's something really nice about someone who supports what you do in the simple ways, where you do something that you think is obvious. It's what you should do, and they thank you, and they thank you wholeheartedly. And if I don't understand, I can ask why. Well, I appreciated that you did this because I knew that you had this and this going on, and you sacrificed time here to do that. Like, they'll explain stuff that you don't even know what you're doing. So I guess that's it.
All great responses. We appreciate you guys for sharing that.
Beautiful couple, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
So far, so good.
How do you handle conflict in a relationship?
That's easy. I'm always right. No.
Yeah, bullshit. That's bullshit. Bullshit. You have to be open-minded. Like, you have to... there were probably times maybe at the beginning of a relationship where you're scared to really voice your opinion in fear of how they're going to react.
Walking on eggshells.
Yes, walking on eggshells is huge. And you have to have a sense of comfort and peace. And sometimes that comes naturally, and sometimes, that's developed over time. I feel like with Jesse and I, we instantly had a friendship, and that friendship is what set the foundation to have those hard conversations that a lot of couples don't want to have. They just brush it under the rug and they just move on. Well, those little things become like those little cracks, right? Those become like an earthquake, really, if they're not addressed head on. And I feel like we do a good job with the littlest things. If something's bothering one of us, we take the time to talk about it. We come up with a solution together. We don't really argue. We talk so much. We're yappers. Like that's what we just yap.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
There was something 3 weeks ago that I was upset about, but I didn't even know it. And she felt it before I did. And it was a very telling situation because she had the comfort. It was something discomforting. It was something shameful. It was something whatever. Like, and she had the comfort to bring it up to me before it even rose up, I guess. What'd you call it?
I read people's emotions. Like I'm like an empath. Like I can see, I can feel emotions. I can read people. I like to feel like I have really good intuition. I don't know. And I could sense something was off. And like, if I feel that something is off, I can't let that just fester in me. I have to say it because otherwise it just explodes.
Absolutely.
You know, if I hold something in, it won't end well. So I just have to immediately, no matter how I think he's going to react, because I know he's going to react in a nice, positive, kind way. He's not going to yell at me it's a safe space.
I don't think we've yelled at each other.
We don't. That's just
I think we've been together
do.
27 months. We counted. And I'm going to share a little poem later I wrote about some of the stuff, but like I don't think she's ever called me a name. We were talking about this.
Yeah,
I don't think either person has ever approached a scenario with blame. I mean, there's a difference between blame and responsibility. There might be something that upset her that I'm responsible for, but it doesn't feel like blame. It feels like we together have this responsibility. You let down this responsibility. There might be something she has a responsibility for, and it hurt our status, our time together. It's hard.
It's like how do we come together?
Yeah,
to
there's
correct
not.
It so we don't make the same.
Absolutely.
I don't think, like I said, we have never called each other a name. We have never yelled at each other.
The respect is still there.
Yeah. Actually, should I just read this now? I'm going to read this now.
Yep, if it's a good time for that.
I think this sums us up. And it's a poem we're both working on, which is a cool thing to do, too.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
remember that?
I have to get back on it.
Yeah, but it's okay.
I have ADHD. I'm all over the place.
But she's got on it. But it's just something that came up a while back. And I think that this speaks volumes about us. All right. Anyway, it occurs to me this evening that no one knows what we've forgiven one another for. No one knows how hard we've been on ourselves long after the other one forgave. No one knows because you'd be hard-pressed to find a man or a woman alive who has heard either of us disrespect the other. It occurs to me this evening that everyone knows how much we love each other, but no one knows how we've forgiven and been forgiven so deeply and so passionately. No one knows how much we really love each other, and I like that. Like it's interesting. We don't take it to the
Give that a round of applause, by the way. I'm sorry.
There's been egregious behaviors. There's been things that both of us have done, and because you can talk to each other, because we can talk to each other about it, we're not venting to friends. We're not. There is, like I said, you find someone. I'll give you $100 that can find something she has ever said bad about me. Same thing for me saying something bad about her, because you won't find it. It's not there.
Beautiful.
And we've had time apart. We were apart for a month last summer. It was horrible. And during that time, there was never, I never said it bad. Like there was like compassion from friends. There was understanding from friends. There might even been questioning, but there was never blame. There was never really judgment.
You have to actually like the person. You have to like them as a person.
If you feel comfortable talking bad about that person,
then that's not your person.
You don't really like that person.
No, and that's very telling. And you don't. No, it's just a hard no. You have to be best friends.
How would you recommend people how to handle conflict, Ever?
So conflict is normal. It's gonna happen. It happens between siblings, kids. It's there. It's gonna happen. You're two different people at the end of the day. But I think with communication, you guys talked about that, and also boundaries, setting those boundaries and being okay with telling someone, hey, I don't like that, you know. And this is also when it comes to friends as well. I was telling my family the other day, I was like, my friend did something, she didn't know that it bothered me at the moment. It really did bother me, but it wasn't the right time to talk about it until like the next day. I went up to her and I'm like, you know, I really like you and I want to continue to be your friend and I want to hang out because we hang out a lot, you know. But when that happened, I don't really like it, you know. And as a friend or a partner, that's when you be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize it and I won't do it again. Not become defensive, you know, because a lot of people are like, oh, why are you making that a big deal?
Yes.
And it's like, now I'm not okay with sharing things that
the safety's gone.
Yeah, you know. So I think that's huge, being able to know when and how. It's when and how you say it, because like a lot of times when you're angry and they're angry and you're both angry, things are likely to be said that you'll regret, you know what I'm saying? But taking the time to understand how you like internalize issues and how you can really like, this is not the time, let me cool down, let me think about it, and then maybe even the next day you're like, it's not even a big deal, you know. But at the moment, you know, it was so, you know, let me see. Oh, giving the benefit of the doubt, giving grace.
Yes.
You know, follow through on change. You know, if someone did say, hey, I don't, follow through. Like, you know, really try to take it for consideration. And here, this one's the biggest thing for me. In marriage, when it's a you versus you problem and it's not a us versus the problem, that's where it becomes like you're fighting each other. You're not fighting the problem. So it needs to always be we versus the problem instead of me versus you, you know?
We sometimes say, I like it's a us problem. It's actually my problem, and it's actually your problem.
It could be a
but
you,
that doesn't
me.
mean you're alone. It just means maybe I took offense to something.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's my own traumas and my own past triggers. So it's actually not on Lindsay to solve that problem. It's mine. Now, of course, we're going to talk about it. She's going to support me and help me. But I like that division of, this is a your past thing, this is a your past thing, this is an us thing. And it's not about blame or judgment. It's just what field you're working in.
Absolutely. And then like some people, like I can speak for myself, I'm a natural forgiver. Like I don't let things bother me after a while. Like if somebody says sorry and then but some people, they're not like that, you know? And you have to understand, you know, there's a reason behind that. You know what I mean? And being patient with one another and how you handle certain conflict. So
conflict is a tough one, man, because it's everyone's different in how they handle it. And you know, just hearing your answers, I just think about all these different scenarios from different people, and it's like you really have to know how, like, everyone addresses that issue or addresses that topic, because everybody, like Abid just said, you know, everyone reacts differently to conflict. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, even as an individual, you react differently to certain things than other things. You know, maybe something doesn't irk you as much as another thing may have irked you. So.
And then sometimes something that is not a big deal to you is a big deal to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's okay.
And flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Reversed.
Yeah.
And I think like going into a conversation when someone's always on the defense, like the defensive, it's so detrimental to relationships. It really is.
Even with students, man. Yeah, even with students. It's like, come on, you guys. You know you're wrong right now.
And the accountability
to it.
Yeah, just own up to it.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Right.
You know?
And they don't see that. They just see then the whole gaslighting stuff happens. And it's
What do you mean? I don't do anything.
I didn't do it.
I'm crazy. I seen it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Let's be real.
And that carries over into relationships too.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can we give our wonderful guest and also Abid
a
round of applause?
And yourself.
Yeah, I'm kind of executing right now.
With the most.
Believe it or not, we're entering the final comment, which is if someone is struggling in a relationship right now, you know, what would you tell them? Basically, for struggling people in a relationship. But I'm gonna let you guys hold that thought, because I'm gonna just tell people how they can follow us one more time. You can follow us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. That's where you're gonna watch the whole episode. YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcast. If you want to watch clips, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Everything under Oz Media. You can find all of our platforms on our website, ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors: Juice Box, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Beit El Mocha, Chill Box, Malika Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, GE Preparatory Academy, and Royal Kebab. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Lindsay. You said this was your first time because you've been doing amazing.
Thank you.
Just want to throw that out there.
I'm gonna start my own podcast. I
you sh-
decided I'm gonna.
I think both of you guys together. And then
we
my sister.
yes, I think we could set something up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank
you're
you.
amazing.
If someone is struggling in a relationship right now, Lindsay, what would you tell them?
Oh God, it's a loaded question. I would say do some deep diving on yourself. You got to dig deep, and you have to really figure out, is it within yourself? Is the person right for you? I guess if it's someone that's if it's a relationship where you're constantly having struggles, I would be questioning, is that person right for me? There's of course going to be ups and downs, but if it's a constant battle with the person, you might want to reassess. And I also think that makes, like, you have to put the time in on yourself to make yourself better, to show up to be the best version you can for a partner. So if someone's struggling, I would say sit down with that person, have those hard conversations, seek therapy. Therapy does wonders. You have to have a good therapist, though. Not all therapists are meant to be with you long term. You have to have somebody that you're comfortable speaking with. So just know that if the person's meant to be for you, it will be meant to be, but you have to be able to communicate.
Jesse to Don, you want to add on to that?
I always like the old saying, never assume malice where you can assume ignorance, right? So what I would tell my friend, guy or girl, whatever, you're struggling in this relationship. What's an assumption and what's a truth? So you need to go and have that open conversation. Now, flat out, if you can't have that open conversation, you're in the wrong relationship. Second, you need to go sit there and you have to be vulnerable. And again, second time, if you can't be vulnerable in a conversation with that person, it's not the person for you. And then third, you guys have got to come together and be able to have that dialogue and decide, can it be fixed? Can it not be fixed? Like, you have to do the work on yourself to where you know what you want, but also have the kindness and respect for your partner to ask. So many people just don't ask. How often do you hear somebody complaining about someone else, and it's like, have you told them?
Yeah. We tell our kids that all the time too.
Yeah, to ask questions.
Yeah.
But then we're not following our own advice, right? So it's like,
absolutely.
Abby, what are your thoughts?
So I'm gonna give advice to someone that is trying to get married. I'll take it because I'm like not married, so I don't want to give advice to married people because I'm not married. So for me, I think do your inner work. Use this time, get to know yourself, know your boundaries, know what you want, develop yourself, be the person that you would be proud to marry.
Yes.
Have fun, live your life. When it comes, it comes. You can't. There's no time limit. Marriage to us is like a provision. It's a rizq, So when God is written for you to get married, that right person is gonna come, and you're gonna know it because you finally did all the work and you know who you are, and you're gonna feel like it's. Every time I ask people, like you'll know when you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you don't choose a person over yourself.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing that I want to say is don't compromise too much. There will be someone out there for you. Like, just hearing your story and hearing how you guys were in your past relationships and how you were saying that you didn't do that for, you're going to meet someone that you're going to want to do those things for. Yeah. That you're going to want to show up for, that you're going to want to love, that you're going to want to respect. I always make prayers that I'm married to someone that I look up to. So I'll be willing to do those things for them gladly. Maybe I might cook. You never know.
I never thought I was going to be making meatloaf, and that sounds so silly, but so or peeling potatoes. I'm not cut for that, but don't sacrifice who you are, your dignity, your respect, your true self. Don't be someone else to fit someone else.
Yes.
So
that's huge.
I want to add something before you breathe.
Still not. I'm holding my breath. Right?
Okay. Hold that breath, because this is actually a deep one. God will not give you the blessings you deserve until you're ready to receive them. I went 45 years not knowing what love was because the younger me would not have been able to handle this. Wow. You do not get the blessings you deserve until you are ready to receive them. God is not going to waste your time with something you're going to throw away. So I realized that when you were talking. I think that's a very important piece that goes into it, and that's good advice to give people.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This was a great episode.
I know.
Give a round of
Beautiful.
applause, man. My boy Jesse the Don spitting knowledge right now.
First of all, I want to say what's on his shirt.
Oh yeah.
You want to read it for them?
Yeah, history sucks, man. It's time for her story.
All
I
right.
think that's something we can all get
Yes.
behind.
For sure.
Males have been running things for a long time, and it ain't worked
It's not
really.
working
It is
really
not.
well, so.
It has not worked out. Let's try and give it another run.
And behind every great man is a greater woman. So I'm
Yep.
just saying. Just saying.
It's a fact in my building.
Listen, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode at home. This was the first time we brought in Jesse on a show that was not sports related, and I knew he was gonna do amazing. What I didn't know how great Lindsay of a person you were,
Oh, thank
and
you.
how
The
great you were gonna
dynamic
do.
together, you guys like gave me hope.
I think
Aw.
you guys really have something
So,
here that can
do.
really, really help people
Yeah.
that going through
real,
a hard
genuine.
time. Seriously.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Your stories. I know you guys even dive into like your stories and what y'all went through in past situations too much today. I think that you guys, rather if it's through podcast form or just maybe holding coffee, tea, and discussions,
Workshops.
We've
Uh,
talked about that actually.
You
yeah.
know, we're teachers,
We've
right?
talked about because we like to talk.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
No,
just get so excited about
Yeah.
talking.
So, please use the blessing that you guys have to bless others. That's my
Oh,
one thing I'll ask from
really
you
sweet.
I think
guys.
the biggest thing for me, like, sorry, I know you have to end it, but real quick, like we worry when when you're divorced and you have kids and you mesh your two families together, like that's something that I would love to learn about because I worry about that because that's huge. Like how to,
We have a
It-
long story to that.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you
It's
guys
a
gotta come
lot.
back.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I just gave you guys a homework assignment, by the way. If you guys didn't pick up on it, is to move forward with the goal of having that conversations and inspiring others that are going through something similar. And as you can see, it doesn't even matter what religion you follow.
Mhm.
You can
Yes.
inspire everybody just based off
So
of the
true.
relationship. I hope that you enjoyed this episode at home. This was season 5, episode 28 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 Podcast. Two Face, One Truth, the keys to a healthy relationship. Lindsay Smith, Jesse the Don Donoghue. Got myself Omar T,
Brought
my
tissue.
sister Abib T.
I'm sobbing. I'm just a
Yeah,
mess.
and then you got Yusuf T. We're gonna get her some tissue right now as soon as the show ends. We hope that you liked it. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great rest of your day.